We are a few minutes. Carrie says her audio isn't working. I'm sorry, Carrie, but she can't probably hear me. You able to message her, Tracy? Thank you. Well, we are a few minutes after 10 here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I really appreciate everybody being here for our community of practice for supporting families meeting. Real quick, I was going to go over Zoom, which I am sure all of us are very, very familiar with by now. But you can mute and unmute and use your video. You can see a list of participants. You can also use the chat function there as well. We encourage you to use the chat as you would like. We do encourage you to use your video. We love seeing your faces, and it really makes this a fun conversation when we're not talking to names, but we have faces that we can see. If you should happen to leave the meeting, not a problem at all. There's the end button in the red. You're welcome to use that to leave. We do ask that you're muted if you're not speaking, and that way we have a good sound quality for everybody else. And I believe today's session is being recorded. So thank you very much, Tracy, for taking care of that as well. So for our agenda today, we're going to do some updates. And then we are going to have a presentation about innovation and policy and system transformation. We're going to take some time for some open discussion and then kind of wrap up our time here today and figure out where we're going to move forward. A quick kind of review, Charting the Life course is a framework and tools and a way of thinking to support families with developmental disabilities and all families really. And that's kind of the mechanism we use for supporting families throughout Ohio and looking at all the different integrated supports they can get and looking at their trajectories and seeing it as what it is they want to achieve for a good life. And this community of practice offers all of us an opportunity to come together, to talk, to share, to grow, and to learn from one another. So we're really excited that all of you are here, and we really look forward to the conversation today and your input and your questions and all of those things that really help us have a really robust and strong community of practice. So thank you very much for everybody being here. We're going to start with a few updates. The first one being we are very, very excited to have our Ohio Showcase next month on May the 12th in Westerville, Ohio. If you have not registered already, I encourage you to do so. We are really looking forward to having really a fun day of talking about Charting the Life course and all the successes we're seeing in Ohio with family organizations using Charting the Life course. There's going to be a family panel of families talking about how it's impacted their lives and what they've seen happen with Charting the Life course. We're going to talk about implementation, guided implementation, and just a lot of really fun and unique things that are happening here in Ohio with Charting the Life course. So if you haven't registered already, we do encourage you to do so, and we would really encourage you to be there and be part of the conversation and the learning and the celebration of all the different things that we're doing here in Ohio. So one of the things that's occurred recently is there was actually a national Charting the Life course showcase in Kansas City, Missouri a couple of weeks ago. And it was a chance for people throughout the nation and maybe even internationally come and talk about what they're doing with Charting the Life course and continue to learn with one another and celebrate with one another. And I know we did have some folks from Ohio who were able to attend the in-person conference. I was able to attend some of the sessions virtually, which was really enjoyable and insightful. But I wanted to give an opportunity for those who attended in person to kind of share what they heard, what they learned, what their experience was. So Celia, would you be happy to share with us your experience with Charting the Life course, the national showcase?
Sure, thank you. No, absolutely. I think the best thing about it, and I think we're all feeling this no matter where we're showing up in person, is that it was literally in person. And I think being somewhere and sitting around a table of like-minded people was really beneficial. I think the one thing that I heard over and over again that just kind of makes me giggle, because there were a lot of comments within the Ohio group. We had quite an entourage, and there's a few folks on here, so please jump in. But Jenna Allen, who's on this call, Lynn Fogel, who's on this call, were also there in person, as was Tracy. In addition, Marion Cosgrove Rauch from Parent to Parent was there, and Sarah Brooks from the Ohio Board of Education was there, along with the Princeton school team who came for the first time. And I think that for me was the best part of watching it through folks' eyes who haven't been there. So this is my, I don't know, 4th year, I think, of going at least. to both the annual meeting for their national community of practice and the meeting itself, the showcase for charting the life course, but to see it through folks' eyes that hadn't been there before. And especially the school team, Princeton team just was so enthralled with how different it was from most conferences that they attend, and how the embracing of each other in the work and wanting to share what I do with someone else so that they can do something similar, holding each other up, encouraging each other. It was just a very different vibe than most of the conferences that I go to, because people want you to try something new. They're excited to share what they've done, to see if you want to try it. Things like that. So I think that energy, the other thing that leveraging of existing things was an ongoing theme that I heard over and over again, partially because the Ohio team was very much reminding me that, we only have so much capacity. And I get in a room like that where people have ideas, and I'm turning to Jenna and I'm turning to Lynn and go, what if we did this? What if we did this? And that idea of, and I thought when you talked to me about sharing here, that leveraging of existing things for the folks that are in the room, I think that was a great takeaway, because you don't have to rebuild something. You don't have to create a whole new project to integrate this. You can really just leverage what's already happening in how you support families, and kind of do this new piece, or add to it through that lens of the framework, or add a tool, or just speak to a family differently. I've had a couple conversations since we left with Kim Matthews and Melissa about how do we just build the language into the conversations that we have with families, and things like that can really be impactful. So I think that was my takeaway from it. Lynn, do you have anything to add? Or Kim, or anybody else who was there virtually and or?
Sure. I will say that it was exciting to be back at an in-person conference. There's an energy there that you don't get from Zoom. But I would say a big takeaway for me was some of the networking that occurred. Celia and Marion and I were presenters. Tracy was in our presentation, but she was doing double duty. So she recorded her part of ours. And Corey tuned in virtually. So we had quite the hybrid presentation going on at the showcase. But after that presentation, I did have someone come up to me who works for an F2F in South Dakota. And she had some questions for me. And we're going to connect and talk about some things. And then as we were at one of the, I think it might have been at the awards presentation towards the end, we were all sitting around the table, and Tammy Allen from Kansas was receiving an award. And as they were talking about her, and she was sharing, she presented also about some of the things that she's doing in Kansas, and she's with an F2F in Kansas. And I leaned over and started whispering in Marion's ear, and I said, okay, we need to connect with her. We need to do an F2F Teen Connect, because a lot of what we are talking about for our work plan, and building Charting the Life course into our work is stuff that she's talking about doing right now. And so we just need to connect with her. And Marion was like, I had the exact same idea. I was writing the exact same notes on my paper. So it was really cool. I know that we will prioritize making that connection, because the networking has a lot of potential. And I think we can really benefit from reaching out and sharing with them.
Jenna, how about you? Did you have anything to add?
Yeah, it was just such a great experience. I mean, being around so many people who are so positive about using the framework and the tools in their day-to-day work, and creative too. So, a theme that kept coming up for me throughout the the showcase, and then I made lots of, just idea notes about, as ideas just kept coming into my brain, just hearing about all the great ways that people are using the tools and framework to help foster really, trusting, strong, respectful relationships with families and people, and being, just continuing to challenge ourselves, I think, to consider the ways that we can adapt what we're doing to reach just a broader and broader audience. And I really appreciated the last session that I went to, kind of around some things that folks are doing in different parts of the country to make the tools and the framework work for various types of communities who might have felt like the tools and framework just aren't for them, or had kind of and maybe a little bit of a hesitancy around them. So just, yeah, it's really cool to hear how flexible people can be with all of this. I mean, I've always kind of known that about the framework, but it helps to have those concrete examples too.
Thanks. And I think the energy that comes back is the energy as we get ready for the Ohio Showcase, just because it's going to be that similar opportunity where we can see what's happening here and get people re-energized. So if you weren't there at National, you still can participate in the Ohio one and just kind of see how folks are using it. Because I scratch my head every time kind of thinking, why didn't I think of that? Why? That's so simple. That's so easy. That takes no, effort on extra effort. And it can be a game changer for a family. And I think that's those of us that are really family focused, like this group. It's just that's always what we're trying to do. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you very much, Celia. I appreciate it. There's always great learning, and that happens when you're connecting and networking and talking with one another. And our virtual experience in attending was a little different, but we still had some similar opportunities. I know some of our colleagues here were able to join virtually. I wasn't sure if Barb wanted to share her virtual experience, or if Kim or Melissa did as well. Hi, Barb. I see you're unmuted, I think.
Yeah, I always like to go last, though. I feel that other people should have the opportunity to share. So I know this was the first time for Kim and Melissa, so let them share first.
Go ahead, Melissa.
All right. Well, I did not get to attend the full conference. I had a medical emergency come up, but I did attend the first day for sure. And virtually, I will say it was nice to be able to do it virtually at all. And the sessions I attended were really great. I think the only downfall was that we didn't get to choose a selection of different courses. You kind of there was one offered virtually. But I think the ones that were offered virtually were really good and engaging, and I think very family focused. So I appreciated those. And then as Kim mentioned earlier, the two of us as a team were given an award for policy and innovation. And so we got to do our one slide, and we also got to do a presentation. So this was a really good experience and very engaging. And I just want to take a second to thank Corey or any of the rest of you that nominated Kim and I for that award, because I know it came from this community. So thank you guys so very much. That was a huge surprise and very sweet. And I think a lot of you should be honored for all the work that you do every day. So all of you. So thank you.
I will second Melissa's comments for whoever did that nomination. It was most surprising and appreciated. And so I would say that the adjectives that I used were adjective and verb were pleasantly shocked, because it came out of nowhere. We didn't expect it. So we're very grateful for wherever that came from, and to say thank you. the virtual experience was pretty good. We weren't able to travel in person, realizing that there was a hybrid model offered. We were approved to attend virtually, and so we were grateful for that approval. The one thing that I really enjoyed about the virtual experience was that there was a live chat running during the session, and there was a lot of conversation that went on within that chat that I thought was very helpful, and it allowed you to engage with individuals on that one-on-one way if you chose to do that. So I thought that was very very appreciated. The technology for the virtual session was pretty good, and so that was a win, and was very glad to know that that was stable. As far as the plenaries went, I really enjoyed the first morning's plenary, especially. I loved how they had a panel of individuals with lived experience on the stage, and then they also engaged individuals virtually. And give a shout out to Marcy Slaughter here in Ohio. I was so grateful that she was included in that. I'm a fan of Marcy's. And so I just love her spirit that she has, and her ability to just connect with anyone wherever she is. And I was so glad to see that she had that opportunity to share some of her lived experience. So that was my takeaways from it. And it was exciting, and it was nice to meet people, like to see them, and to see that to feel that celebration over how this work is supporting and encouraging and empowering families. It was very, very, very important. Thank you.
Thanks. I don't know how to follow that. So thank you for going first, Melissa and Kim. I thought it was a great opportunity to attend virtually. I have attended in person, so there is a different vibe. But I think, you know, what's exciting to me is to really hear what other people are doing and how they're integrating the principles and the framework in their work with fidelity. So they're not just doing, you know, sharing, here's charting the life course, but they're actually sharing how they're integrating it and including it in their work. I thought it was great to see people. I wish that when we broke out into, my regret is that when we broke out into our state groups, the only people there were Corey and I, so we had a great conversation, but I think the opportunity to have debriefed as a group and thought about what do we do next now that we've heard this information, seen the energy, learned with and from, because not only did Ohio share, so we shared with, but we also learned with others. And so I hope that we do spend some time looking at, so what are our next steps as a state community of practice, and how will we move forward together? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barb and Kim and Melissa, for sharing the virtual perspective. I really appreciate that. One of the things that I really admire about our community of practice is we all have different spheres of influence, and we're all doing different things in different places with different populations, and it's all really, really good and amazing work. And one of the things that I was going to share is that we've actually received quite a few national awards at the National Charting the Life Course Showcase. And I really want to take some time to highlight those now. The Princeton City Schools got an Innovation and Education Award. I know Celia has worked a lot with Princeton. Do you want to share about the work they're doing?
Sure. Princeton originally came into the work through an innovations grant from the Ohio Department of Education, and around their transition work and the work they do with students in transition. And so I had come in through the parent mentor door because Janet Main, who's a parent and a family member, she and I have known each other since our kids were younger and back in my previous role. And so that connection, when I was trying to get things started and just finding the nooks and crannies, I did a presentation there very early on, and it just grew into an interest and a curiosity within their school team. And I'm certain that the work that Sycamore and Kelly Flaughter was doing kind of led them and inspired them to give it a try. So they wrote it into the Ohio Department of Ed grant for their district. And they are outside the parameters of that grant now and have continued the work. They began by just doing parent trainings through the teacher, through the parent mentors, and then added Kelly Flaughter's theme of just one family, and invited a bunch of teachers to learn about it and decide whether they'd like to give it a try with just one family. And 2 or 3 of their post-secondary teachers began it the first year. And then the second year, we got teachers that were in other grade levels. It grew into a program that they feature at the end when their students get ready to graduate, because it includes not only the kids who are leaving the district, but also kids in junior high. And they're now kind of following them through and hearing from both the families and the kids about how it's changed things for how they look at their students' trajectory. So that's been really exciting. They started this year in January to work with at-risk students and work with their staff that works directly with students who have been identified at all ages to be at risk to graduate. And that work began in January. So they're kind of finding legs for that. So it's been really excited, and they're very committed. And like I said, they were so amazed at just how different it felt than a conference that they would attend around education. And we're really energized by that. And they're ready to hit the ground running again for what might happen next year. So they're a great team. And I was very impressed that they committed to coming, and they did not know they were getting an award. So that was not why they chose to go in person. They just chose to go in person to participate. And then were very surprised at the receiving of an award. So there you go.
Thank you very much for that overview, Celia. I really appreciate it. So in addition to Princeton City Schools, we also had Deb Peterman, who is with the Center for Disability Empowerment. She received an award for the innovation and front door to supports. Barb, I know you've worked with Deb quite often over the past couple of years. I wanted to give you an opportunity to share about some of the work she's doing.
Sure. Thank you, Corey. Deb works for an independent living center. So there are several independent living centers in the state of Ohio. They support all people with disabilities across the lifespan. So there's no eligibility requirements, so to speak, like some of our services are framed. And what I really appreciate about Deb is that she has found such creative ways to integrate charting the life course framework and principles in a variety of topics, and not just presenting, here's charting the life course, but actually integrating it into her work. They honored her as a front door support because often people call the independent living centers when they have an issue, and maybe they don't receive eligibility specific supports. And so she helps people on a variety of fronts, housing and everything. But what I really appreciate is when she has integrated charting the life course, she has done it with such integrity and fidelity to the content and the principles across the lifespan and across the definition of families. So she has, shared it with grandparents, groups that may feel they are underrepresented and undersupported, siblings. And, as a sibling, I find that I have to remind people that family does not just mean parents, but also siblings and grandparents and other relatives. She has also integrated it in instead of just doing a presentation, she's integrated with fun activities to engage teenagers and young adults to see the value of using the tools and resources in their life to advocate and to plan whether they get paid supports or not. And the other thing that I appreciate is she has integrated Charting the Life course into what her words are difficult topics or topics that are not often discussed. So things like grief and loss, things like safe relationships, things like how to be safe. And so it's not just Charting the Life course, but it's life domains, looking at those domains and how to integrate it. And as for many of you who have heard her, she is also very passionate about integrating Charting the Life course into spiritual life and spiritual communities, as well as some of the communities around Columbus that the Center for Disability Empowerment, the Independent Living Center, is working with communities to make their communities inclusive. So just the variety, the breadth, and the depth of different approaches. Thanks, Corey. And I don't think she's on the call or on the meeting, so
I'm looking forward to. I didn't see her.
I'm disappointed. Thanks.
No, thank you very much for that synopsis, Barb. I appreciate it. You know, and one of the things that we're fortunate in Ohio is we have, you know, particular person who's really involved in Charting the Life course and does pretty phenomenal work here in Ohio, as well as partners with the national level and contributes to a lot of the work that's happened there. And this year, the national folks gave Barb an award for being a distinguished contributor for all of the amazing work that she does with Charting the Life course and with families and with organizations and helping institutions and people understand, you know, what exactly Charting the Life course is, how it can be implemented. She's doing a lot of fantastic work with guided implementation and helping families. And the national folks really took hold of the amazing work she's done for very many years now and great work. And so Barb, we want to mention also that you got you know, awarded with this Distinguished Contributor Award, and we really appreciate everything you do here in Ohio as well as throughout the nation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. I get flustered about things like this, but thank you. Thank you. I was very surprised. Virtually, of course, we knew that we had received an award so we could be present and accept the award. So I did know, and I was quite shocked and appreciate any feedback that my co-workers in Ohio, my team, my fellow ambassadors and passionate people integrating Charting the Life course in their work have had and done. I have learned, one of the things I always say is every opportunity I have to interact with people, I learned with them and from them. So thank you all for being part of my journey.
Well, thank you very much, Barb, and for all you do. And congratulations on such a great award. So I've also seen here in the chat, there's a lot of chatter about what's happening in education and is, you know, the Ohio Department of Education getting involved in this Charting the Life coursework. And they actually were recognized by the national team for their innovation and employment. Sarah Brooks from the Ohio Department of Education used Charting the Life course previously in her work in Pennsylvania. And then as she's transitioned here in Ohio, she has worked really closely in getting the Charting the Life course framework more ingrained in the transition planning process. And the national team really appreciated her approach in getting many schools and folks involved in transition engaged in helping people figure out, you know, what their vision was and what those integrated supports could be. In the future, she is looking to train 64 Charting the Life course ambassadors within the Ohio Department of Education. There's half of them this fall and half of them next spring, is what her plan is and what she's moving forward with. So we're really, really excited about what she's doing in the Ohio Department of Education, and this innovation award she received for employment is really well recognized. And then lastly, really excited to share that our partners at the Ohio Department of Health have really taken Charting the Life course and used it in very many different ways. So they've received an innovation in policy and systems transformation. I'm not going to dive too much into the amazing work that they've done because we're going to hear from them here shortly. But I just wanted to recognize Kim and Melissa and thank them for all the amazing work that they continue to do for families in Ohio and within the Ohio Department of Health. So thank you very much. So if you weren't able to attend the National Showcase, that's the brief update, the virtual perspective, the in-person perspective, and the Ohio recognition we received. So that was really exciting. We do encourage you again, if you're interested in the Ohio Showcase, register, come join us. It's going to be another fun day of sharing about all these wonderful things that are happening specifically here in Ohio. Upcoming events, the showcase is May the 12th. There is a Charting Life course series for families that'll be in May and June. So a 3-part series in the evening for families to attend. We do have a Charting the Life course live in June as well with respite care. And then we also have quarterly Charting the Life course presentations for SSAs and professionals. These are not specifically just for SSAs and professionals. Anybody's welcome to attend them, but they are kind of geared for that particular population and audience. And then our next community of practice meeting is going to be on July the 27th, which we are looking forward to. So those are some of the upcoming events. You can find more information at our Family Resource Network of Ohio website. That's also where the registration is for these as well. So now I'm really excited to introduce Kim and Melissa, who are going to share with us what they're doing at the Ohio Department of Health and the innovation and policy and system transformation. So Kim and Melissa, I'm really excited you're here, and then thank you for being here and for sharing with us today. So I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Corey. Melissa's going to pull up the one slide challenge that we presented at the national conference at the showcase, and we're just going to play that video. It is available now on demand, and so while she gets that geared up, just wanted to share with everyone. Again, thank you for the support that you provided to us as we move this work within the Department of Health. It is new for us to have the opportunity to do this work at ODH, and we are very excited about it. And we have the full support of everyone on our team and those above us at the administrative level to do this work, and we are very grateful for the opportunity. So I will pause to see if we're ready to go, Melissa.
Actually, I need to talk to Corey really fast. Corey, when it says to share my sound, do you recommend me choosing the mono version or the stereo version?
That I do not know.
So
I
just try.
apologize.
We'll just try the first one and see if that works. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, let's try.
Hi, I'm Melissa Jackson, and I'm one of the 2 parent consultants at the Ohio Department of Health. My coworker Kim will also be joining us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Matthews, and I am the other parent consultant at the Ohio Department of Health. Melissa and I are so grateful to be able to share a little bit what we do with you today. And we are full-time at the state of Ohio serving families. And so I will move it back to Melissa so she can get us started. Thank you.
So we wanted to share a little bit about what parent consultants are. We do know that we have very unique positions here at the Ohio Department of Health, as we are full-time state employees, and we get to serve over 40 plus programs and services in the Maternal, Child, and Family Health Bureau. We provide the parent and family perspective and voice, and we make sure that all of the programs are serving every family in every capacity. We utilize the life course learning tools in a variety of ways in our roles, and we're very fortunate to be able to do that. Some of the examples you can see are on the screen, and we're going to just quickly go over some of those with you. One of the big ways that we use the tools is with our Children with Medical Handicap program. It is one of our wonderful programs we have at the state where families that have special health care needs can get financial assistance with those outstanding bills and the bills that are always rolling in due to their child's care. We have 40,000 plus children on program, and we serve ages 0 to 22, soon to be 23 this summer. When we work with those families, sometimes they'll call into the call center with questions about their care or questions about how to get started with the program. But the call center will realize that the families might need some additional support. They might need a listening ear, or they might just need to be able to plan for the future. When they're handed over to Kim and I, we do tend to sit down with the family and just be listeners. But often, sometimes we'll end up using the Support Star or the Life Domains to help support them and definitely plan for the future and determine what resources they have and where they're lacking. Additionally, we heavily use it with our pediatric cancer community. There are a lot of individuals in Ohio due to the amount of children's hospitals we have with pediatric cancer. And so a lot of times we'll use the tools of those families to plan for treatment, survivorship, heaven forbid a relapse, or anything that comes along that journey. We often find that the trajectory for planning is very helpful, especially when determining what they need to do to avoid those pitfalls that they don't want to fall in. Furthermore, we use them with caregivers that reach out on social media. Kim and I are very lucky to be able to use social media within our roles to connect with families and spread awareness of our position to be able to help them. So we do have that flyer there at the top that we often share online, and we often share our contact information with families that reach out. We know families are often overwhelmed, they feel alone, and sometimes they're just in need of additional support. Sometimes they don't know about the services that are available for them, or they feel guilty using them. So we end up working with them as well, and we use the reciprocal roles as well as mapping relationships to determine how much support they have and where they're missing and where they need. And also have those conversations about it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to need support. And lastly, on my behalf that I'm going to talk about today is the families that call in needing help finding external resources. Often we can help them in a variety of ways on the state level, but sometimes due to financial eligibility, we're not able to fully give them all the services available. We don't ever want to leave a family empty-handed, so Kim and I make a lot of connections in the community with nonprofits to be able to give additional layers of support there. Additionally, there's lots of nonprofits that offer fun and exciting activities, and so we're always making sure that we're sharing those. We, again, will use the Support Star for that to make sure that they're aware of all the things that they can do and really kind of intertwine themselves in the community. Now I'm going to pass it over to Kim to share the rest of the wonderful things we can do.
Thank you, Melissa. So another great opportunity that we have incorporated into our work using the Charting the Life course tools is centering around the topic of transitioning to adulthood. And that would mean from pediatric care center settings to pediatric services and supports, etc. And they're transitioning to adult care center settings, adult services and supports. And so we really like to offer the family the opportunity to view the transition guide, as well as the life course trajectory tool. And it really helps them be able to plan for that, that time that they're either going to walk through that transition pathway or they are walking through that transition pathway. Again, that trajectory tool is very powerful because a lot of times we encourage the families to start with what they don't want to happen, and then that moves them to discover and to discuss and outline what needs to happen and what they want to happen. And so that's a great tool. The other thing that we've been able to do with the trajectory tool is utilize it in our block grant work that I help co-lead at the Department of Health for our children and youth with special health care needs funding. and we have put that trajectory in place through that block grant process. Again, working alongside of families on those teams with lived experience. And that's been very powerful and very helpful. And it also has brought that lived experience voice to the forefront of that work within our block grant funding. The next thing we do is we serve many families many times who are walking pathways with their school entities for individual education plans. Again, that trajectory is very powerful, and it helps families be able to better communicate what their child's needs are and help others understand in that education setting what they can do to be more supportive to the child and ultimately to the family. And then preparing families for hospital stays or stays outside of their home using that person-centered tool has been very, very, very motivating for families to allow them to prepare that document ahead of time and help them be able to use that tool in many, many different spaces and places. So their loved one's voice is at the forefront of meeting the needs that would need to be addressed. And then the last thing, but not least, is we do a lot of presentations and summits across Ohio, and we very often feature all of the Charting the Life course tools. And we talk about how we have the wonderful opportunity to have been able to become ambassadors here in Ohio and help support families learn how these tools can help empower them. So we are forever grateful for that opportunity. Thank you.
I think the principle that most grabbed me, I really.
Well, Kim and Melissa, we really appreciate you sharing that with us, and it's really impactful the ways you're using Charting the Life course in so many different places with very many different families, and even within your own agency. I do want to open it up to the audience here. Does anybody have specific questions for Kim and Melissa and what they're doing or how they're doing it? You know, Kim, one of the things that I am familiar with is, and I've seen you do it, is you're not just using the tools with families, you're also using them within your own work, within the department and the agency, and trying to spear conversation and kind of create a vision for moving forward. And I know you've used the trajectory in some of your work group meetings around the block grant. Can you share a little bit about how you've used that in some of those subgroup meetings to facilitate the conversation?
Sure, I'll be happy to share. We had in our block grant process for children and youth with special healthcare needs, we have broken that team of like almost 90 people that from different state agencies, ODH staff members, community partners, nonprofits, families with lived experience. And so we broke those teams into 4 sub work groups. We have a provider and physician work group. We have a care coordination work group, which Amy Clausen is one of our sub work group co-leads. Thank you, Amy. We have a transition non-medical sub work group, which Lynn Fogel is co-leading that. Thank you, Lynn. And Melissa Jackson is also co-leading that. Thank you, Melissa. And then we also have a transition medical team. And so, and Corey, thank you for serving on our work groups and on our block grant teams, and greatly appreciate that. Shauna is also on our team. Ilka is on our team. And so we're very, very grateful for that opportunity to partner with many of you in this work. So early on, we decided that in the transition non-medical work group team, that there would be an opportunity to talk about, we had challenged each work group to really think about some pilot project ideas. And this is a 5-year plan. And so it is able to, we're able to take it at a pace that would work well for everyone. And so I spoke with Lynn and the other co-leads of that group and said, how about if we use a charting the life course tool? And we had a couple that we looked at. And ultimately, the sub work group co-leads landed on the trajectory, and it could not have been more perfect because they were able to use that tool using a Jamboard. Basically, just set it up as a picture on the Jamboard, and then was able to utilize Jamboard capabilities to then place sticky notes on the things that they had been discussing. And they took the feedback from the parent advisory committee, who serves as our family engagement team in our block grant work, to incorporate their lived experience voices and to make sure that that was captured at the forefront. And so at the end of that session, they had a humongous slide of different ideas and different concepts and different things. But the one thing that they did first was they really talked about what they didn't want to see happen and what may be not working well now related to transition, because that is our ultimate topic. And so what happens is with that is that turned into what they just presented last Friday to Allison and I, is their pilot project idea. And that trajectory tool on that Jamboard set the stage well for them to be able to present that pilot project idea and to feel very empowered and motivated and encouraged and excited about what their pilot project idea was that they were submitting. And so that's sort of a snapshot of how it was utilized in that space. And it also allowed a large amount of ODH staff that weren't familiar with Charting the Life course to see it in action. And so I was most excited about that, of course, because then they realized, oh, we can use this for other things, not just for this. And so that was very, very encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you for providing that, Kim. I appreciate it. Any other questions for Kim or Melissa? So Kim and Melissa, we really appreciate that presentation and for sharing the work that you're doing at ODH, and congratulations again on your innovation award from the national folks. It's really remarkable, and we appreciate all that you're doing here in Ohio to support families. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I know Melissa shared some things in the chat. And I also shared our contact info earlier in the chat. Feel free to reach out to us if you have families that need support and help. We're always welcome or willing to be a partner in that. I know we've partnered with Amy and Len and Celia and Ilka, and I could go on and on. Specific families of how we're able to help them. And it's not about us, it's about them. And it's about what they need to keep things moving within their world of family life. We just get to have that small little piece of helping them connect the dots, put the puzzle together. I share that analogy a lot. So thank you again. Melissa?
I was just going to say to answer some of the chat that I went ahead and emailed it to Corey as well, the PDF. It looked a little distorted on my end. I'm not sure on yours. So he has that in case he wants to send it out to the large group as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Melissa. I appreciate it. Thank you both again. So with our remaining time, what I thought we would do is have an opportunity for some open discussion and some networking and learning about what other folks are doing. We all have our own little spheres of influence and are using Charting the Life course to support families in multiple different ways, other than what's already been presented here. So I wanted to open it up and hear from everybody else. What is it that you're doing with Charting the Life course that you're finding to be impactful and helpful in supporting families in Ohio?
Corey, I'll jump in. One of the things that strikes me, or one of my passions, is not only supporting families, but also supporting people with lived experience. And I don't separate them from families, because I never identified my brother as being over here and the family being over here, but the family includes the people we love who happen to have a disability. So I'm very excited. I've had many opportunities to share the resources and tools with people with lived experience, and showing them how to use Charting the Life course, regardless of whether the teams that support them know about it yet, but how they can use it in planning and advocating for the life that they want. So reminding them this is their civil right. This is not just something that's nice and colorful, but it's their civil right, and giving them tools to advocate for their life. And I've been very happy that so many different groups are interested, and also tying it to the ISP, IEP, IFSP process, as well as the IP, because not everybody has an ISP, but any planning process across the lifespan, across the service system, because the same information is needed by the planners. So it doesn't matter how old you are. And also focusing on, when we look at the perspective of the person, we're looking not only at their words, but also their actions. So most have, being a speech pathologist, I have yet to meet the person that doesn't tell us what they like, what they want in their life, what they don't want, whether they use words or not. So honoring and respecting that people's actions also give us their perspective, not just their words.
Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it.
I'll jump in on that, Corey. I commented, I used the trajectory with a mom. We sat at McDonald's while her daughter played and had a Happy Meal. And we did the trajectory in preparation for an IEP meeting. It's a pretty contentious relationship with the school and with the parent right now. And the mom, when I first met this mom, to me, I just thought, oh, she really needs, like, she really needs support and confidence. What turns out, she's got a ton of confidence. And because our conversation was that of support, she opened up and was very vulnerable with me. And I misread that as somebody that needed more support than, so really for using the trajectory and really encouraging her that she's got the tools to advocate. And I was there at that IEP meeting, and I'm blown away with this woman. Like, she is, I joke about how my husband would say, oh, Kate's going to write a strongly worded letter. You know, if there's something that I'm not satisfied with, this woman's got me beat. So I really, really am loving just seeing this kind of happen in real time. So we did this trajectory, and then she took it and then created her own document to follow and to check off with the school. I'm not going to be at the IEP meeting because I will be recovering from my back surgery. It's next week. But I just am like, I fully am confident that she's going to get, you know, her daughter's needs met. So I thought that was really cool. And then hearing about from everybody what's happening within the education system, I love that, because this particular school, I'm like, how do I, that's a challenge. Just how do I, as an SSA, say, here, guys, you need this in a way that's not like, you guys are not doing a great job. Do you know what I mean? But anyways, I'm just real excited for this mom in particular, and just how she used the trajectory. And then we're also, kind of a side note, working on our transition from EI to SSA and using those tools. And we're just in the beginning stages. So love kind of what's happening within my corner of Ohio.
Thanks for sharing, Kate. And that's great to see how it's being used in all of our different corners of Ohio, specifically with yours there and working with families with IEPs and looking at that transition. You know, transition is really key, and we're finding that the trajectory and looking at those integrated supports can be really important in figuring out what that looks like and making those things happen in a more conducive way. Anybody else would like to share? I know other folks are doing some pretty amazing things with supporting families and using Charting the Life course. I'm not afraid to call you out and call your name.
Corey, I'm just going to jump in. This isn't anything I'm doing, but we are, as a COP, creating a forum for teachers and such. So I just want all of you guys to know and watch for, we've now got a space for teachers and educators, along with Sarah Brooks and the 64 folks she'll bring along, to be talking about just what Kate was talking about, how we can use this in education. And I feel like we're at that same space where we were in the beginning, where families, we worked hard to get this in the hands of families, and then we needed professionals to recognize it when they saw it. And so I think that was commented on in Kate's chat box comment, that they were hoping the team would pick it up and use it. So we are creating a Charting the Life course group in action for education that will meet. Right now, we're going to do it twice a year because we don't want to overstep our ability to maintain it. My hope is all we're doing is facilitating the opportunity to meet. And it's really going to be run by the educators, just sharing and talking. We did it once in March, and folks are really ready to connect. The folks that did show up want to connect outside of that and do more work with it. You know, can we have a listserv? Can we have a Facebook page where we can just talk to each other? So watch for that. And if you're interested, please join us. A Charting the Life course group in action is supposed to be folks that are familiar with the tools and have used them before. That's kind of the premise set up by UMKC with that design. And so we've got some time to get people who are interested in coming into that space to have touched a tool and worked with them a little bit and understand Fidelity, as Barb talked about, so that we can grow that group. But I'm very excited with that. So I just want to share and have people watch out for it.
No, that's great, Celia. Thank you very much. And I know you guys had your first meeting in April. Is that correct?
We already had it back in March, the first one.
Sorry.
It took place I think it was the first week. Maybe it was the first week of April. I know it was prior to the conference. So, and our next one will be in October. And
Okay.
we're just kind of right now I'm talking with Princeton and Kelly. They kind of, Emily Johnson at Princeton and Kelly Flotter are kind of, and if you know of any teachers that are using this that want to be on the core team to kind of hold this and bolster it up, please send them my direction or my way, because I will put them in touch with Kelly. We're just trying to grow the conversation.
Thank you very much, Celia. So in addition to those Charting the Life course and action groups, I also know that there are Good Life groups that are developing as well. And Lynn, I know you went through a specific training about the Good Life group. Is that correct? Can you share a little bit about what the Good Life groups are?
I can. I was literally just saying that I had to jump off at 11 for a family meeting, but I will give you a quick recap. So I did the Good Life Group Facilitator Badge program through the Life Course Nexus. And building upon that, I set up the Good Life Group series with the high school students that I've talked about before on calls and possibly on one of these meetings as well. And so it started in January. Of course, as things go, we had to be really flexible. And, we had 6 sessions planned to run through the tools with high school students at my daughter's school program. And things got delayed and postponed, and we are still trying to have a parent or family brunch where the students present their portfolios to their family members. And it keeps getting delayed because currently this week there are many positive COVID cases in Erica's class. So it's not happening this Friday, but I'm gonna have a debrief with the teachers who were really on board to make it happen. We're gonna talk about what was good about it, what was challenging, and what might be done better next year. I feel like they've committed to having me come back each year and do this with the students. And my hopeful outcome is that after we have the students present their portfolios to their family members, that we recruit them to form a Good Life group, which then supports one another after graduation. And we continue to use the tools to empower the families to help one another, brainstorming solutions to their ongoing issues with adapting to adult life using the framework.
Thank you very much for taking the time to share that, Lynn. I think it's a great way, and I'll let you get going. I won't keep you any longer. Thank you again. So I think those Good Life groups and integrating it and building those communities for one another is a really exciting opportunity that we have as we continue to look forward to the work we do here in Ohio, and connecting people and having them continue to have those built relationships with one another. Any other examples anybody would like to share? If not, I think the next thing I wanted to bring up and have a conversation about is for everybody here, what is it that you would like to take away from these community of practice meetings? What is it that we could do better, do more of, do less of? Is there, whenever you attend these, what is it you want? What is it you would like to take away?
Hi guys, it's Amy. I'll go now. I still continue to find these meetings really helpful in inspiring more ideas to help families. So like, Quinn, I know you reached out on the chat, it gets me re-energized and keeps me energized to use the tools however I can. A lot of times the families that I serve are very complicated and have complicated needs. So I'm always searching for how can I really get to the heart of the needs for this family right now, today. And who else can I partner with? And as Kim said, we do partner often, and, every family is different. So I just want to shout out that I don't always attend every meeting you guys have and that we have together as a state group. But when I do, I always get re-inspired and find it very helpful. With that said, I'm still gonna say a challenge we have is I'm still not seeing diversity in this group, and I'm still really concerned about that. Deb Peterman and I know and work with Selena Miller really well. She's a busy mom. There has to be more Selena Millers out there. There has to. And, if Deb and I and a few of you need to work harder at getting more diverse families to join the Ohio Starship enterprise of charting the life course tools, then, now is the time. So I don't have any magic wand though, but I just still want to share it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Amy. That's a really good insight. So
Amy, to that note, and we can continue in this space to think about it, is one of the conversations we had at the annual meeting last 2 weeks ago, however long it was, So the first day was the annual meeting for the community of practice, was that idea of who outside the disability community is part of your COP, who in that community world that also works in similar ways. So the aging community or things like that. And that is a way to broaden our reach in addition to broadening our scope and adding a more diverse group to this room. So I'll just throw that out there. That was a big part of one of our breakout sessions, was really looking at outside of disability, who else is in that community of practice and growing it in that space.
Thank you, Celia. So expanding our diversity is certainly something we needed to pursue as a community of practice, undoubtedly. What other ideas or suggestions or takeaways would folks want within our particular community of practice here?
I think one thing too, Corey, that I would like to see is, we know that there are probably currently about 35 to 40 ambassadors in Ohio, and yet we don't see, hear from, even know if they are engaged with charting the life course. And so I would like to see some attempt to pull those people in and see what they're doing. You know, part of my, let Kim and Melissa talk first, is I don't want my voice to always be present at these meetings. And we need to hear from different people. So what are those other people doing? Now, the timing may not work for the meeting. I don't know, but you know, what are they doing? And maybe they're no longer engaged, and that's okay. But but we don't know that. I'll leave it at that. And there are lots of ambassadors from Ohio who have attended other ambassador series, not just the Ohio ambassador series. And so I say that from experience, having coached ambassadors and having passed along the names, but I don't see them. And they have very varied roles.
Thank you, Barb. Yeah, making sure those folks who have been trained and engaged in charting the life course and seeing what they're doing now and making sure they continue to be engaged and supportive of this work that we're doing is important. You can certainly look into that as well. You know, Melissa put in the chat that it'd be nice to do another round of introductions, and that is absolutely my mistake. I got us started and jumped right into everything and didn't take the opportunity to allow us to introduce one another. You know, and for the sake of time, we can do that really, really quickly here. You can just share your name and what organization you're from and that sort of thing. That would be great. Celia, you're first on my list. I'll start with you.
Oh, there you go. I'm Celia Schlomer. I am a family support coordinator at the University of Cincinnati UCED and part of the Project Lead Partner teams. Also a family member. I'm a sibling, in addition to being a mom and an aunt and a sister-in-law to individuals with disability.
Thank you, Celia. And Quinn, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. I work for CCS. I'm the executive assistant and I'm the new facilitator for the Toledo People First chapter. I am autistic myself.
Welcome, Quinn. Thank you. And Kim Matthews?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Matthews, and I'm on staff at the Ohio Department of Health within our Bureau of Maternal, Child, and Family Health. And I am one of our 2 parent consultants. And I'm also an Ohio Charting the Life Course ambassador. I have a family member who had a chronic health issue. My spouse, he passed away a year ago, this coming May. And then my daughter also has some special healthcare needs. So I have that lived experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. Amy Clausen, you're next on my list.
Hi, guys. Amy Clausen here. I'm the Northern Ohio Family Specialist with Ohio Family to Family. And Lynn Fogel had to jump off. She is the Family Sports Specialist with Central Ohio. And Marion Cosgrove Rauch is our Family Sports Specialist for Southern Ohio. And the three of us are here serving families in any way, shape, or form that they need us. So happy to be here. Happy to see all of you again today.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for introducing Lynn as well. Melissa Jackson, James.
Hey guys, and I'm sorry to all the shy people. I meant we could do it in the chat too, so I apologize that a bunch of you are jumping on now, but it's nice to see you. My name is Melissa Jackson, and I'm the other parent consultant at the Ohio Department of Health. And like Kim, I also have lived experience. It was one of the qualifications of having our role. My daughter is 7, and she's a pediatric cancer patient. So always happy to be here and learn from all of you. Oh, and I'm a life course ambassador as well.
Thanks, Melissa. And I'm going to give Tracy a quick opportunity to introduce herself. I will say she's under the weather, so we will let her make it quick.
Thank you, Corey. I'm Tracy Manns. I am the project manager for the Family Resource Network of Ohio, and also a group called Aspirations, which is for teens and adults on the autism spectrum and their parents. And most importantly, I am the proud mama of a 24-year-old autistic man named Trey. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Tracy. And Sarah Brooks, welcome. It's good to see you. We shared your award earlier with the Innovation in Education. Congratulations again with that.
Oh, thank you. Happy to be here. Yes, I'm Sarah Brooks. I'm the Assistant Director for Supports and Monitoring at the Ohio Department of Education. I too have lived experience. I have a 21-year-old son with autism, and yeah, so this is really become a passion of mine. And as you guys heard earlier, we are going to be bringing, we have an initiative to bring 64 ambassadors to the state of Ohio next school year. So it will be a big undertaking, but we're going to do it. And we're very excited working with this amazing team that has helped coordinate it all and bring it together. So
thank you very much, Sarah. We appreciate that. Look forward to all the amazing things coming from ODE. Shauna, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. My name is Shauna Roach, and I sit on the Parent Advisory Council at Akron Children's Hospital. I'm also a parent mentor there, and I've worked with Kim and Lynn and some of the others on the ODH work group. I'm on the non-medical transition work group, so I've found that very valuable to be able to give my voice from my lived experiences. And we are the parents of 3 girls, but our youngest daughter she does have cognitive and physical disabilities from a diagnosis of a brain tumor when she was 8 years old. I'm also the sister of a brother that has Down syndrome and the aunt of a nephew on the spectrum. So I have those lived experiences to add to, some of the work that I've been doing. I also work at Akron Children's Hospital too. I'm a physician recruiter, and I've been there almost 25 years.
Thank you very much for joining us, Shauna. Really appreciate it. Billy Joe, you're next on my screen. How are you?
Well, thank you, Corey. My name is Billy Joe Catanzarite, and I am an account executive with Safe and Home. We provide remote supports and assistive technologies to those with disabilities, meeting them at their next step of independence. Personally, I have 24 years in the special education background, so transitioning to this has been a real touching life point, because I also have 2 adult children with autism. One is soon to be 20 years old, and one is just turned 22 and is graduating college. So it's so funny. You can't flip a switch and stop worrying, or I thought there's so much planning that goes into everything we do. And gosh, I really appreciate the input of this team. It's really enlightening.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Billy Joe. Thank you very much for being here. Amy Freeman, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. I too am real grateful for this group of folks, and I know Barbara will be talking soon, and I think Barbara and I probably have about the same number of years of experience in this field. And we reminisced one day about so many familiar names from many years ago. I work for the Ohio Coalition for the Education of Children with Disabilities, and my role is the statewide transition programs coordinator. So my interest is to work this framework of the life course tools into the transition work that the coalition offers to families, starting at early intervention, going all the way through post-secondary. So that's the plan, and it's baby steps right now for us, for me. So thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful work. Thank you very much, Amy. Jacqueline, how are you? Okay. We'll go on to Kate. How are you this morning, Kate?
Hi guys, Kate Green. I'm an SSA from Medina County Board. I also manage our waiver assessments. I primarily work with children from ages 3 to 13. So really, like I said, geared up and excited to work on bettering the transition from EI to SSA world. And then I'm also a parent of 2 girls. My daughter, Lorelai, has Down syndrome. And I just sent a message to Shauna and said we're frequent flyers at Akron Children's. And then my husband also, we had a recent experience with my husband who became ill and suffered an acquired brain injury. So I'm not his full-time caregiver, my mother-in-law is, but we are certainly supporting him as he is my husband and the father of our kids in a very important role.
Thank you.
Oh, and I'm an ambassador.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kate. And Barb Safaris.
Okay, thanks, Corey. Quickly, I worked for the Cuyahoga County Board for 36 years. I've had a variety of roles, including SSA, speech language pathologist, some administrative roles. I also worked in the public and private schools. So at the school age and not early intervention, but school age level. I am a sibling. I had 2 brothers with disabilities, one with developmental, one with acquired. Neither one received paid supports. My brother with developmental disabilities was not eligible till he was in his 20s. So I have a whole different perspective of not having a system that supported our family. I am currently the full-time caregiver of my partner of over 30 years. And I do work for the Nexus, and I have a national training that I'm going to do in just a few minutes, and am an ambassador and very excited to bring Charting the Life Course to a variety of audiences and stakeholders through the lifespan. So it's so exciting to see you all, and I'm so excited about what's going to happen in the public schools. So needed, so needed. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Barbara Marshall, how are you?
Sorry, I had that off. I'm just an SSA in Erie County, and I was just wanting to get acquainted with everything that who's all working in all the different fields and getting familiar with that. Thank you.
No, we welcome you for being here. Thank you so much. And Jenna Allen.
Yes, hi, I'm Jenna Allen. I'm an ambassador. Also work at Ocali in the Lifespan Transition Center. Previous to that, I spent most of my professional life in various provider roles. I first became a provider for people with developmental disabilities at the age of 18 and stayed in the field for most of the years since then. Then I also have several family members with disabilities, both lifelong and acquired.
Thank you very much, Jenna. And Regina, how are you today? We'll move to Amy Beeler. How are you, Amy?
I am good. My name is Amy Beeler. I'm the superintendent for the Ross County Board of DD, and we support people from birth until end of life. And I'm just here trying to get on board and trying to be sure that we're headed in the right direction.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, Amy. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Amy Dubin?
Hi, I work for the Arc of Ohio, and I'm an advocate, and I also read ISPs, in which I see a lot of Charting the Life course tools being used by SSAs coming in starting now. I'm also the parent of a 22-year-old who has a traumatic brain injury.
Thank you very much for being here, Amy. We appreciate it and the work that you do there at the ARC. I think I may have covered everybody that I see on my screen. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Feel free to chime in. And then I will share, I'm Corey Ferguson. I'm with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, and I focus on family outreach and education. And then in addition to that, I also have 3 children who each have their own special things going on. One of them with severe developmental disabilities. So that's why I'm here and why I enjoy this work that we do as a community of practice. And I guess I mentioned earlier in the day, I really admire all the different ways that we've come together to continue this conversation and talk about what we're doing. We're all in very different places, serving different families in different ways, but we all have that same common mission of using Charting the Life course and this, what we learned from this community of practice to serve and support the families that we do. So I do thank you all very, very much. We only have about 6 minutes left of our time. I don't know if any of our other partners have anything to share, any updates. I do want to be respectful of everybody's schedules. I know there's plenty going on and we've got many places to be. Well, with that being said, our next meeting is July the 27th, I believe. Correct. Yeah, July the 27th is our next meeting at 10 o'clock. Feel free to share the opportunity with others who are engaged in this work. We welcome anybody. They don't have to be an ambassador, but if they're interested in learning more about how we're supporting families and utilizing this kind of way of thinking and framework, we invite them to join us on this ride and we can learn together. Don't forget the Ohio Showcase is May the 12th. We encourage you to join us there for a great day of learning and networking and seeing each other in person. And if there's nothing else, I really do appreciate everybody being here today and sharing all the different things you're doing and being open to listening to everybody else share about what they're doing as well as we continue to move forward in serving the folks in Ohio. So thank you all very, very much.